If you've never seen the classic film, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, here's a quick recap. 5 lucky kids unwrap chocolate bars to find a golden ticket inside to some weird rich guy's factory. What happens next can best be described as a mix between the candy aisle in a grocery store and Squid Game. One kid gets sucked into a chocolate pipe, another is pushed down a garbage chute, and the last one basically live streams himself into a TV. By the end, even Charlie wants his golden ticket refunded. If Wonka taught us anything, it's that a golden ticket doesn't always lead to a golden ending. And believe it or not, in American education, we've created our own version of that ticket. School vouchers. The Center for American Progress defines school vouchers as initiatives that divert taxpayer funds from public schools to private institutions to cover educational expenses of select students. School vouchers have been one of the most polarizing issues for the past 70 years. And just as Willy Wonka's factory dazzled visitors with endless choices, voucher programs claim to do the same. But the reality is those choices can often come with real consequences. So today, let's unwrap school vouchers by first discovering their origins, then peeking inside to see if vouchers really are effective, before finally exploring their implications on the future of our schools. Because as Harvard Professor of Education Marty West explains, this is the one issue that most cleanly divides Republican and Democratic elected officials. And there's many questions about what it means for education in America. But before we tour the factory, where did this golden ticket come from? In the 1950s, school vouchers were first introduced as a response to the famous Brown v. Board education ruling, when several southern states resisted against school integration by creating state tuition grants. These grants allowed white families to move their children out from public schools and put them into private, racially segregated academies. After public protest and outcry, court cases like Runyon v. McCrary forced private schools to end explicit race-based exclusion, prompting voucher advocates to rebrand vouchers as tools for choice and opportunity for low-income families trapped in underperforming public schools. This era led to the creation of the oldest voucher program still in existence today, the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program, established in 1990, which successfully shifted low-income families from underperforming public schools to high-achieving private and religious schools. Due to its popularity and perceived success, this program ignited the school choice debate, as many more states began adopting their own voucher programs, seeing it as an option for families to give their kids an opportunity to succeed beyond what was seen as a broken system. Then, beginning in the early 2000s and continuing through today, we have seen rapid expansion of religious and private schools through several court cases that further loosen restrictions on which schools would receive voucher funds. This ultimately has led to states adopting larger, more unrestricted voucher programs dubbed the universal voucher. These policies expand voucher usage for all students regardless of income or status. And while supporters of universal voucher programs claim that this expansion has led to more choice for parents and struggling students, opponents like the National Education Association have gone as far as to call these programs catastrophic failures. To understand why this debate has become so polarizing, we need to take a closer look inside the factory. When we take a look at how today's universal voucher programs operate, the evidence raises serious questions about whether they deliver on their promise of better education and expanded opportunity. The Economic Policy Institute reports that many voucher programs fail to improve student achievement, and in some cases, actively harm it. For instance, in 2018, students receiving vouchers from Indiana's Choice Scholarship Program experienced significant drops in math scores with no gains in reading. And over in Louisiana, students using vouchers also saw a similar math decline within a single year. Despite the evidence showing that students on voucher programs aren't better off academically, states are still quickly passing laws loosening restrictions, often to the point where they become impossible to manage. In my home state of Florida, a recent 2025 audit revealed that their primary voucher administrator overspent its budget by $400 million. Likewise, Arizona saw improper spending on its education savings account program, ballooning their state education budget to nearly $1 billion. As both states saw widespread misuse of funds through purchases like trampolines, golf equipment, and even theme park tickets, all funded by taxpayer money intended for schools. When systems balloon up faster than state departments can regulate them, the results are predictable. Resources intended to help expand opportunity for students are instead wasted through mismanagement and misuse. Ultimately, when oversight disappears, so does fairness. And in that kind of system, someone is always left shortchanged. More often than not, the ones left stuck with empty candy wrappers are students with special needs. You see, public schools are bound by federal accountability laws. One such law, known as Section 504, which requires services for special needs students, such as speech therapy or classroom accommodations for any institution that receives federal funds, including public schools. Private schools that accept students on a school voucher have ways to legally circumvent Section 504. Since the families are technically accepting the funds, not the private schools, the schools themselves don't need to provide accommodations. They can also outright reject students with special needs, even if that student received a voucher. My family experienced this rejection firsthand. About 6 years ago, my older brother was turned away from a private school because of his special needs. And instead of gaining choice, he was left with fewer options, less support, and frustration at a system that treated his rights as optional. Low-income families face a similar problem. Since the money allocated from school voucher programs is capped, the poorest families are left stuck at underfunded public schools that are left losing by the day. Because when millions of dollars exit the public system, costs still remain. Supplies, teacher salaries, food for school lunches. And with less money, schools tend to cut elsewhere. The result? Programs in public schools that give students a foundation. Arts, theater, music, and even clubs like speech and debate are the first ones to go. These programs have frequently been labeled as optional, even though they shape how students engage with the real world. As voucher programs continue to rapidly expand, maintaining these programs becomes even more difficult. School vouchers have been shown as a kind of golden ticket to allow choice into our school systems. But just as we learned from Willy Wonka, golden tickets aren't always what they're made out to be. Looking at the way school voucher programs work to shift funding away from our public schools is key to understanding the positives as well as the negatives of the voucher program, and uncovering the people, like my brother, that they end up harming. And while we may not have Wonka's chocolate river, we can still make sure every student gets a taste of opportunity. And that's something that we can all vouch for.